That was a good question, Jay the Duelist. Asking about that. Self-insertion characters. How do people react and when are they appropriate and how to do them right? That's a good one. That's a good one. What do you think?
Well, there's a couple of, I want to answer these in the order that the questions were asked. Okay. Self-insertion characters get a bad rap because most of the time, it's horrifying. It is so obvious that someone is having a moment
of
with their favorite property, and it's not fun to read. It's not fun to play.
They're not fun
because a self-insertion character, you're basically you're playing, you are gratuitously writing this for yourself.
You really are. Yes.
And where is there room for someone else to come in and imagine themselves in this character?
Right.
The short answer is there isn't. There absolutely isn't. That's what a self-insertion character is.
Exactly. And unfortunately, along with the bad rep, a lot of times self-insertion characters are also, well, the best way to say it is just to come out and say it, a chance to bone a character that they're really into, to have some type of physical relation or an emotional one as well with a character they're into. Like, for example, let's say that you have a real big crush on 2B, like all of you do, and you think 9S is a prat, which he is. So you create a self-insertion character, another Yorha or human that 2B just happens to come across, and wow, I mean, just shit like that. I mean, but unfortunately, a lot of people use self-insertions for that exact reason.
It's called fanfic.
It honestly is. It is. They self-insert in order to insert. Yeah.
Now, to move things along. Okay, so when can you get away with doing it?
Right.
Okay. There is a way.
There is a way. Yes, there is.
Okay. And that is to write it, and I'm specifically saying writing because you're scripting this out. You're scripting your game out. Script it to where it's third person. Where the POV could be any person coming up and depositing themselves in this world.
So, okay. I can see that. I would also say, instead of it being quote unquote self-insertion, be have similarities between you and your self-insertion character. In other words, while you're putting obvious parts in yourself, that, as Jay said, anyone who knows you would say, okay, that's a self-insertion character. Put just enough things in the character that are different than you, so that it's not a direct port of you into that world. What do you think?
Sure, that's another way of saying it. Yes.
Yeah.
This is the kind of thing where I want to show you how to do it. Sitting here telling you, it's just, I don't have the words to tell you. I wish I could just show you, a best practice of writing a character, a protagonist that is you but not you into the story, that anybody could play in and think and see themselves in. It's not as hard as you think. It truly isn't.
I think let me jump in. I think one of the biggest issues that I have with self-insertion characters outside of the hentai aspect is that a lot of times a self-insertion character is a reflection of the positive self-image that the developer, writer, etc. has of themselves. And I think a way to get around that is to give your self-insertion character a really strong flaw or set of flaws, things that fundamentally they have to overcome that you yourself would not want to touch. So
Okay, I see where you're going with
yeah,
this. So no Mary Sues, no Gary
no,
Stews.
never anyway.
Because a lot of self-insertion characters are that way.
Yes.
You know, they're perfect, their shit doesn't stink.
Right. Right. But then you give them a flaw that's a really strong flaw, because then you have your self-insertion characters that go, oh, well, this is my self-insertion character, but they're not a Mary Sue because they have a low self-esteem or this or that. A really good example of a character that I didn't like at first, and I still kind of dislike, but I dislike them less, is Reen from Trails of Cold Steel, because he's so selfless. But then over the course of the story, I've seen it that he's so selfless, it's actually to his detriment. It's not that he's selfless. He has a very low opinion of self-worth. He actually thinks he's not worth much at all. And that's actually a terrible thing, because you can get injured or killed. So give your self-insertion character something that's really fundamentally bad that they have to overcome, that would make you uncomfortable if you had that in real life. Like maybe a crippling fear of social interactions, you know, like a kind of dysphoria that's so strong that getting out of bed and talking to people terrify them, but they still do what's right. So they're going to go out there, but the whole time they're sick to their stomach that they have to even talk to another person, or they're like a vigilante and they save someone and then they immediately leave, not because of Batman, but because they don't want to look at the damage they caused, or they don't want to have to face the person that they just saved and be like, well, if I'd come sooner, maybe you wouldn't have gotten hurt at all. You know, things like that.
Yeah.
That might help.
This is a tough one. I'll be honest with you. Because I personally am so biased against self-insertion characters. I can sniff them. I can smell them a mile away.
Yes.
One of my favorite series of books, young adult books that I loved reading, I'm not going to give the title of it because I'm being critical here, but it was very obvious throughout the series that the author was self-inserting, because this author had this huge boner for one of the main characters. It so much so that the author refused to kill that character off.
Yes. Even when it would have made sense.
Yeah. I mean, and that's just one example, you know, but you can tell. Yeah. You can definitely tell.
Which is why when Burke says things like, if you're making a self-insert, don't give them the knowledge you have as the author. Absolutely. Make them.
Oh, yeah. In fact, that's good. Yeah.
In fact, make them fail. That's a really good way to handle a self-insert. Have them fail. Yes. They don't necessarily have to die, but have them fail. And if they're the main character, then the dirtagonist or a strong secondary cast is needed to undo that failure.
They failed their quest.
Yeah.
They failed their quest.
Yeah.
Whatever that quest happened to be, I don't care. Saving somebody or finding something, but they fail it. They fail it
on screen.
On
screen failure. That would work, I think. Because the more you put a quote unquote self-insert character through things that are not self-aggrandizing, then the less it seems like you're basically patting yourself on the back and putting yourself in because you're the hero, and then shaboinka, or whatever. I keep going back. I keep going back to the adult angle because that is my unhappy exposure with self-inserts.
I'm so sorry
for both.
Yeah.
The video games that I've played, the books that I've read, the horrible Wattpad just fan fictions, just the things that I've run across in my life. If it's a self-insert, it almost always has to do with getting it on with something. And I can't stand that.
Looks like I've had some tamer experiences.
Oh, I've had horrible experiences with self-insertion.
Sailor Moon fanfic.
Let us know in the comments what you think. I think, honestly, before I even say that, my advice is if you're thinking of doing a self-insertion, don't. Just don't. Don't do it. Just don't. Don't do it. But if you have to do it, the advice we've given you, the advice in chat, make it as far removed from you being a successful hero as humanly possible.
Thank you. Yeah.
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 We would love to hear what you all have to say in the comments. We really would, because like Teal said, this is a very difficult topic. And
It is.
and one that even if we had had time to really prepare for, I think would have still been difficult to advise on.
It's difficult.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's for me, it's something I'd want to show, not tell.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right. So go on.
I was going to say, well, I could, if I hadn't destroyed it, I could have shown them the horrible Queen Beryl fanfic I wrote a long time ago.
It was really a work of something.
Self-insertion. Yeah. Okay. Let's go ahead and cut this one.
All right. If you like what you saw, lay the smack down the like button low, subscribe to our channel, consider supporting us on Patreon, connect with us over Facebook, Twitter, Discord, and we'll see you in the next video.
See you next time.